Hey, welcome back to a new video. In this video, we are going to learn how to create a domain controller. So in my previous video, you have seen how to install a Windows Server 2022 on a Proxmox server. So in this video, we're going to learn how we're going to add a new role to the server and then promote that server to a domain controller. So before we start doing that, we have some prerequisites that we need to meet before we actually do that. So one of the prerequisites that we have to meet is we need to assign a static IP to our server, right? And assigning a static IP is very simple. You can go to your local server and you select your Ethernet adapter here. And now you can see here, it says it is being used by DHCP. So we need to change it to a static IP. So now what we have to do, you need to right click on this. Click on properties. Anyways, I'm not going to use an IPv6, so I'm going to uncheck this box. I'm going to only use IPv4 version for this demo purpose, and I will select that. And then I will assign an IP. Now, there are a few things that I want to discuss before I assign an IP. So, my current setup, the way it has been designed is that I have my home router, which is running on 10.0.0.1/24. And then I have my OpenSense firewall, which is running on the range 10.0.1/16. So yeah, it's running on 16 range. The reason why I have done that because I wanted to have a more network, or I wanted to have a dedicated network for my demo purpose. So for that reason, I have this, and on top of that, I have my Proxmox, which is running on. Let's say if this is my. So I have a virtual machine that has been. So it is a Linux-based virtual machine which is running on. This is our Proxmox, which is running on 10.10.11, not 12. Okay, so that's 16. And underneath this Proxmox, I have created another two network. I would say these networks are mainly for. Basically a subnet or Linux bridge, you can call it. So if I go back to my Proxmox server and if I go to my network, you can clearly see here, I have this primary network Linux bridge that was created initially when I installed a Proxmox on this machine. And then I created a new Linux bridge, which is running on 10.10.17.1/24, right? In this demo, I'm going to use this subnet. So how do I use that is that I will go back to my virtual machine and I will pick up an IP from there. So I would say 10.10.17.40, and then I'll keep these as 255 like that, and the gateway would be 10.10.0.1 and prefer DNS, since I want this domain controller to act as a DNS as well, right? So I will supply this IP 10.7, the same server IP which I'm setting up, and then if you have any alternate DNS server, you can supply those DNS server IP in there. Okay, so that's how you create a or you assign a static IP to a machine. If you're not sure what is your IP, you can clearly go to CMD and then you can type ipconfig, and this will give you your dynamic IP which is assigned to this machine. So but you can clearly understand from this, right? This is your IP address, which is 10.10.0.168. That's your submask, and this is your default gateway. So let's say if you want to assign or you want to make this as a static IP, I can do that as well. I just need to assign it or change that some 0 here and then give it 42 and do that. Okay, but I'm not going to do it. It's all depend on your environment. It is not necessary that your environment should meet or it has to be exactly like how I have set up my environment. It is not the case always. Okay, so keep that in mind. That is very important step when you want to assign a static IP to your server, and then you click on OK, and then OK again. Your network will go offline, and within few minutes it will come back online. You see, your network has it online. Now, if I type ipconfig again, you can see here it is giving us the IP address which we have assigned, right? So that's how you assign a static IP to a server. Now, another thing, another prerequisite what we have is that if you want to rename your server, you can do that as well, right? So let's say if I want this machine to be called it as a domain controller 01, and if I click OK, now what will happen? The machine name will change to a domain control 01. And now once you have assigned a static IP, once you have changed the name of your server, just restart it, right? Because the changes what you have done has to take place, or you want to avoid any error that might arise in the future. The reason why we need to have a static IP is because, see, this server is going to act as a domain controller, and as well as our DNS server, and it requires a static IP, because if you turn on the server or if you turn it on, the IP of this server should not be changed. That's a basic difference between a dynamic IP and static IP. Dynamic IP is something which will change when you turn off and turn on your machine based on the lease of based on your DHCP server configuration. But static IP, it will not change. It will always assign to one particular server. Now the IP has been assigned. We have restarted our server. Now it's a time to add a role to this server. And how do we do that? On the right hand side, you click on Manage, and you have an option here which says Add Roles and Feature. You click on that. You click Next. Role-based access, feature-based installation. Next. What is the role that we're trying to assign here? So for a domain controller, we need to have a role which is an Active Directory Domain Services, which we also call as ADDS. So I'm going to assign this server ADDS role. I'll click Next. I'm going to leave everything as default, and I'm going to click Install. So now what will happen? Within few minutes, the role will get assigned or installed to this particular server. Okay, so now the installation is completed. I'll close this, and on the top right on the notification center, you see there's a small exclamation mark. Click on that, and now it is asking us to promote this server to a domain controller, which I'll click on it. And then as this is a new server we are promoting, so I'll click a new forest. So I would say cloud guru.local is something that I would like to name this server as. And then it's all up to you. You can keep this as a local domain, or if you have your FK domain, if you own a domain, you can also put your domain name here. But again, in this for demo purpose, I'm going to use cloudguru.local, and I will show you in upcoming video how you can add a UPN prefix to the same server. Okay, so that's how you do that. Cloudguru.local, then click Next. And then you need to set up your password for the DSRM, which is a directory survey restore mode. So basically this password is very important in case if you lose your domain controller, if you want to recover your domain, you need to use this password, and this is the same password you're going to keep it for your global admin account as well, right? So I'm going to keep this password, Please make a note of this password. You should not lose this password. If you lose this password, you're basically going to lose your domain controller. I'm not going to do any more changes. Click next, and then I will set my NetBIOS name. The NetBIOS name is very important. Basically, this is something which is prefix that gets added when the user sign in, which will represent your domain name. So if I keep as a cloud guru, right, then what will happen? My users, when they're trying to log in, and if you have a multiple domain controller, they need to provide the NetBIOS name when they sign in. So they need to provide cloud guru / then their username and then the password. So that's something that is a NetBIOS name. So I'm going to keep it as a cloud guru only, and I'm going to click next. You can say basically it's a very short name for your domain controller or domain name. I'm going to keep all the path as default. Click next. It's going to do its prerequisite check. It will give you a lot of recommendation here and all those things. Okay, we have a lot of recommendation here, but again, I'm not going through all of them. I'll just click on install, and now it will complete the installation and promote this domain controller as this server as a domain controller. Okay, so this server has been promoted as a domain controller. Now the server will restart, and once it will restart, it will give me a prompt for sign in. So if you're watching till now, I really appreciate your time, and if you have any questions, concerns, feel free to drop in the comment box below. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. So now server has been restarted. Okay, so the server has been restarted. Now let's log into the server. Now you can see here the NetBIOS name is reflecting on the screen. It says Cloud Guru / administrator, and I will type the password that I have used to set up the domain controller during the setup of domain controller. So that's how you install Active Directory domain services on your server and promote a server to a domain controller. In next video, we are going to learn how we can join a machine to a domain controller. See you in the next video.